Welcome to another live PEP class. Tonight we are going to be doing the ability test, verbal reasoning, 2019, some samples from the book, a booklet issued Youth and Information. Of course, before we go into that, I'm going to play for you as usual our schedule of live classes so you can know which topics we do on which days. Although for now we're not going to be following the schedule so strictly because we have the PEP exams coming up. So what we're going to be doing for the next few weeks until the PEP ability test, we're going to kind of ease back on the performance task and focus on the ability tests. And then we go back to our schedule, right? Okay, so here's the schedule. Hello CSEC math students, I know you are busy preparing for your math tests and your CSEC exams coming up. I have a very important question to ask you. Do you like my new hat? Thank you. Now another important question. Have you ever gotten a math problem wrong simply because of making one little mistake? I'm sure you have, as thousands of other students have. Now in this series we're going to be looking at the common mistakes that students make with all the topics in CSEC math. We're going to look at the common errors, demystify everything, make sure you watch every video in this series so that you can avoid making those mistakes. So stay tuned. Hello scholars, did you know that most times when students get problems wrong in mathematics is as a result of one single error or one mistake? Well, this is absolutely true, and we're going to be looking at the common errors that students make in the different topics in mathematics. If we know the errors beforehand, we can certainly avoid making them. Are you ready? Come on, take my hand. All right. All right, so Amari is asking if we're going to be having class on Ash Wednesday. No, Amari, we won't be having any class on Ash Wednesday, but all the other days. All right, so there are some scholars backstage as usual waiting for me to let them on. So let me invite them to join me. I have Jaden. Coleman is saying how sad. How sad that we're not going to have class on Ash Wednesday. Well, Ash Wednesday, I'm guessing you'd want to spend that time with your family. And for those who are religious, it's a religious observation.
Good evening, Miss. And
Good evening.
for all other platforms.
Good evening. Welcome Antoine, welcome Coleman, welcome Jaden and Jer. Please say good evening if you have not done so before.
Good evening, Miss. And good evening, classmates.
Good evening.
Live classmates.
If I don't hear good evening, I'm going to remove you. All right. Welcome Amari and John.
Hi, Miss.
Good evening to those joining us in the chat from Facebook, YouTube, wherever you are. Welcome, Langot. These guys are our regulars. Cashmark. I'm seeing Nia. I'm seeing Alyssa. Welcome, guys. And of course, we know this other scholars will be joining us as we go along. Still have a few more scholars backstage. So when we do the switch, we'll invite them to come. All right, so let me share my screen because we're already a bit late. All right. For those, I know some of you have done this paper before. If you have, just bear with us and use it as a revision exercise. And for those who have never seen these questions before, hopefully you will find them stimulating but not too challenging. And by the end of the session, you would have understood all the different questions and how we came by the answers. So the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information issued this PEP booklet on verbal reasoning, grade 6 ability test sample items. Introduction, this booklet consists of items originally found on the 2019 administration of the primary exit profile PEP ability test. 20 items are contained within this booklet. These items are intended to provide a guide that should support the preparation of students for the 2022 administration of the ability tests. Let me read the introduction again. This booklet consists of items originally found on the 2019 administration of the primary exit profile PEP ability test. 20 items are contained within this booklet. These items are intended to provide a guide that should support the preparation of students for the 2022 administration of the ability test. And we do know that the ability test is coming up in a matter of weeks. Item number 1, which is a single select response. Students are required to identify the relationship which may exist between two things. All right, Antoine, please read item 1.
Okay, miss. For item 1, select the word that best completes the statement. Smoke is to fire as cloud is to A. Wind, B. Heat, C. Rain, and D. Sun. Smoke is to fire as cloud is to A. Wind, B. Heat, C. Rain, and D. Sun.
Have you decided what your answer is, Antoine?
Not yet, miss.
All
Miss,
right,
is
so let
it
me see
sun?
what the other scholars say.
Is it D sun?
You're saying what?
D sun.
Sun?
Yes, miss.
All right, so what is the relationship between the first two and then tell me why you chose sun?
Miss, I chose sun because smoke is caused by fire. When a fire is lit, smoke is emitted,
Mm-hmm.
just like how. And clouds are formed when water is evaporated by the sun.
All right, so the cloud is formed, but is it the sunshine that forms the rain or that forms the cloud or the water vapor that forms the cloud?
The water vapor.
Because it's not all right, it would be like you're saying the fire is responsible for the smoke. The smoke comes as a result of the fire, but something else caused the fire. Just so the sun in this case would be the something else, but the process that it entails would be what would the clouds form, just like what would the fire cause to be emitted. So it would not be the sun in this case. There's a more direct relationship between something else and the cloud.
Miss, could I say what I think it is?
Go ahead, John.
Miss, I would say C.
Don't just give the letter. Tell me what the word is and tell me what the relationship is.
Okay. C, rain. Miss, the relationship between the cloud and the rain, Miss. Miss, is that rain comes from the clouds, Miss, and smoke comes from fire, Miss, so that would make more sense.
Right. And for the sun also, if you're going to say sun, then by extension you would have to also say heat. And heat is there too, right? So it's a heat from the sun. So they are part of the process, but it's not the direct relationship. The direct relationship here, as with the smoke and the fire, would be the clouds and the rain. All right, so Haley says smoke is an indication of fire and clouds are an indication of rain. So that's one way of putting it also. Nia, Cashmark, Haley all said rain, as did Macelyn. And Amari, Antoine, John, Coleman said heat, but no Coleman. So Amari, John, Antoine said rain as well. So sometimes you're going to see answers that are pretty close, but you have to make sure it's the same fit, the same type of relationship that the first two words have, the next two words should have.
Excuse me, Miss. The reason I picked heat because who was the one that answered the sun?
Jaden had said sun.
Well, I thought that Jaden was kind of close because the sun does evaporate the water into the clouds. So I thought it would have to be heat.
Yes.
Because it
The
doesn't
sun drives the process, but the fire doesn't drive the process of the smoke. The fire releases the smoke. And I'm saying if you're going with sun, you might as well go with heat, which you can't pick two. So they are indirectly related to the cloud. A more direct relationship would be the rain.
But the oh wait, but
Go ahead.
oh yeah, I see.
Go ahead, Coleman.
I was saying it was how the order was put because it said smoke is the fire, but the fire would cause the smoke. So, but how the clouds? So I thought it would be some like the cloud, something with the cloud.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying, but we're going with the two that have the more direct relationship. For item 2, students are required to identify the option that does not belong in the group. Coleman, can you read the 4 options and then tell me which one you think does not belong?
A. Passengers. B. Stadium. C. Spectators. D. Customers. A. Passengers. B. Stadium. C. Spectators. And D. Customers. A. Passengers. B.
Just 2
Stadium.
times, Coleman. You don't have to read it 3 times.
I would say stadium.
Because
passengers, spectators, customers are all people.
and
Passengers,
stadium.
people can be passengers, people can be spectators, and people can be customers. but someone cannot be a stadium.
All right, that is well put. So a stadium is a place, whereas the passengers, spectators, and customers are people. And Antoine agrees. Mayselin says stadium because it is a place where people may be sheltered while the rest are people. Haley agrees. Cashmark agrees. Alisa agrees. All right. And Nia also says stadium. For item number 3, students are required to identify the most suitable word to complete the sentence. All right, Jaden, please read item number 3.
Okay, miss. For item 3, select the most appropriate word to complete each sentence. Yesterday, I learned how to dash flour to make fried dumplings. Yesterday, I learned how to dash flour to make fried dumplings. A, need. B, need. C, bake. Or D, roast.
Jaden, when you're reading them again, can you spell the 2 needs for me, please?
Okay, miss. A, and need as in N-E-E-D. B, need as in K-N-E-A-D. C, bake. And D, roast.
All right. Have you decided, Jaden?
Yes.
How to what the flour to make fried dumplings? Yesterday, I learned how to what the flour.
Miss, need.
Tell me
Miss,
better and spell that need for me.
Miss, can you repeat that, please?
Tell me, you repeat your answer and spell the need.
Okay, miss. I say B and need as in N-E-N-K-N-E-A-D.
All right. And what does that need mean?
That need means to work, moisten flour or clay into dough or paste with the hands.
All right. That is correct,
So
Jaden.
basically when your mom is using the wet dough to flattening them and put them in the pot.
Right. So you press your hand or the palm of your hand into the dough. So the flour and water and salt usually. Press it and squeeze it and shape it up. All right. So Jaden is correct. Antoine also said KNEAD. Coleman agreed. And in the chat, we have Haley, Cashmark, Mayselin, Jonathan, Nia, Alisa, and Madison all saying KNEAD. Now, Antoine is saying you don't bake, roast, or knead dumplings. Antoine, that's because you don't come from the country. You don't. When I was growing up, we did all kind of things with dumplings. we threw them into the open fire to bake them, to roast them. You can do these things with dumpling, actually, Antoine. It's not that you can't, but the process of working the dough, working the flour to make the dumplings, in this case, it would be to knead it, right? But as a child growing up in the country, I can testify I have roasted and baked dumplings. All right. Good night, Rodriguez, and welcome. Item 4, It's a single select response. Students are required to identify the most suitable word to complete the sentence. And I'm going to ask Amari to read item 4.
Okay, miss. Yeah. Okay. For items four, select the most appropriate word to complete each sentence. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day because it keeps the brain dash and boosts blood sugar levels. For item 4, select the most appropriate word to complete the sentence. Meal of the day because it keeps the brain dash and boosts blood sugar levels. A relax. C R D rest. A relax. Oh, rested.
Rested.
B relax. A
A
relax.
relaxed.
B clear. Yes. A relax.
Go again.
B clear. A relax. B clear. C sharp. D rested.
So which is it? What do you say, Amari? It keeps the brain what?
Miss, I would say sharp. C.
Sharp. What would we mean when we say it keeps the brain sharp? What would that
Miss
mean?
like full of energy. Miss like
Okay.
Keeping the brain active.
Active, alert,
yes,
energized, ready to take on the day, right?
yes,
All
ma'am.
right, so you're correct. And Antoine says sharp, Coleman says sharp. Cashmark, Alisa, Maceline all say sharp. I know my scholars are sharp, sharp. Maceline says yes, it means attentive. I remember when I was in about first form, grade 7, and our drama teacher used to make us sing this song just before drama class. I'm alive, alert, awake, enthusiastic. All those words are synonyms for sharp in this case, keeping the brain sharp, alive, alert, awake, enthusiastic. Item 5, also a single select response. And when we say single select response, we mean you are to choose one of the options, only one. In the PEP, there are times when you might be asked to choose multiple responses, 2 or 3, sometimes even 4, depending on the nature of the item. So bear that in mind. Don't think that you're always going to be asked to choose just one. That is the norm for multiple choice questions, but in the PEP, you are sometimes asked to choose any number of items. So just make sure that you read carefully. And I'm just realizing that I have not been circling my answers. Let me apologize for that. I'll do so from henceforth. John, please read item 5.
Okay, miss. Oh wait, miss. Let's have it first until it's for item 5. Select for item 2.
It
Select the
should be
word.
5. It should be
Uh,
5.
okay, miss. For item 5, select the word that is a necessary component of the word in bold form sandwich. For item 2, select the word that is a necessary component of the word in bold form sandwich. A tomato, B lettuce, C meat, D bread. A tomato, B. Lettuce, C. Meat, and D. Bread. Miss, I would say D. Bread, miss, because without bread you can't make a sandwich.
Okay.
Miss,
And
I
I agree. Yes, you can make
remember
a
what did.
sandwich without tomato. You can make a sandwich without lettuce, without meat. These don't have to be in a sandwich at all. It can be a peanut butter sandwich. It can be an egg sandwich, and doesn't have any of those. But it must have two slices of bread, and then you put something in the middle. And that's what the word sandwich as a verb means, right? To have two things on the outer parts and something in the middle. You sandwich that thing. All right. So for this type of item, we are to select the thing that is necessary for the word that is highlighted. Either it's isolated or put in bold type or in some way. So you know what the one item is, and then you choose from among the other options which one you need in order for that other one to be. So it's unanimous. Everybody is saying bread. We need bread for there to be a sandwich. I'm seeing Kiana, Rodriguez, Coleman, Rihanna, Adina. Welcome, Adina. Cashmark, Nia, Alisa. Everybody is saying yes, yes, yes. Bread, because we have all made sandwiches, and I'm pretty sure we all have reached for the bread, and without that, it would not be a sandwich. Now, let me see if I think some scholars are waiting backstage, and we're going to switch now. All right, so I'm going to ask, and those who I'm going to ask to wait backstage, please still know that you can post your answers and your questions and your comments. And you might be able to come back if there's an issue with the mics or anything like that. So, right, so just stay tuned. All right, so I'm going to ask Jaden, Antoine, Coleman to wait backstage a bit. And I'm going to welcome Rihanna, Rodriguez, and Kiana. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you, Miss. And good night.
Good night, Rodriguez.
Good night.
Good night, Kiana. Can you hear us, Rihanna?
Yes, miss. Good
Okay,
night.
good night, everyone. All right, so let me make note of those who are joining now. So we have Rihanna, Rodriguez, and we have Kiana. And we still have John and Amari with us. So Rihanna, I'm going to ask you to read item 6 as soon as I introduce the item. So item 6 is a single select response. Students are required to identify the item that does not belong in the group. Okay, go ahead, Rihanna.
For items 6, select the word that does not belong to the group. A. Microwave. B. Refrigerator. C. Blender. D. Television. For item 6, select the word that does not belong to the group. A. Microwave. B. Refrigerator. C. Blender. D. Television.
All right, Rihanna, have you decided?
Yes, Miss. D. Television.
Why do you say television?
Because a microwave, a refrigerator, and a blender can be found in a kitchen, while a television can be found in a bedroom or a living room.
Okay. And it seems to be unanimous too. So Rodriguez says all the others are kitchen appliances except for television. However, we must stress that right. So Coleman agrees. Nia, Maceline, Cashmark agree. Remember though that it's possible for us to have a television set in the kitchen. It's possible. Some persons are extravagant. Some of us would describe such persons as being extravagant, but they might have a really sensible reason for having a television set in their kitchen. They might have a really sensible reason for doing that. The thing though is that the majority of persons don't put a television set in the kitchen. They prefer to have it in the living room or in the bedroom where we know they're relaxing and watching TV. The other appliances are definitely more likely to be found in the kitchen. So we're going with those, and we're saying for most cases, the television set will be the odd one out. But I don't want you to think it can never be in the kitchen, because it can. I've seen television sets in kitchens. I have. Okay, question 7, single select response. Students are required to use the words given to establish a sequence. So what they mean by to establish a sequence, that means to show a specific order, that's something that, or a process that is carried out from step to step to step, from one stage to the next stage. Or it might be a numerical sequence, chronological sequence, alphabetical sequence, or just a process. So I'm going to ask Rodriguez to read item 7.
Number 7. Identify what comes next in the sequence. Seed, plant, blossom. A. Apple. B. Branches. C. Fruit. D. Leaves. Number 8. Identify what comes next in the sequence. Seed, plant, blossom. A. Apple. B. Branches. C. Fruit. D. Leaves. C. Fruit.
Why fruits?
We're going to have the seed, and the seed is going to make a plant, and the plant will have blossom, and the blossom will make the fruit.
All right, that is correct. Right, so see, Madison saying she has a television set in her kitchen. You see what I'm saying, guys? All right, so okay, so for number 8, Nia says she agrees. Fruit. Alisa says fruit. Cashmark says fruit. Rihanna and Coleman also say fruit. So from the blossom, we will get the fruit. So we plant the seed, and the seed will germinate and develop into a sprout and become the plant. And after time, the blossoms will come in, and then we'll have the fruit. So that's C. And that was item 7. For item 8 is also a single select response. Students are required to use the words from the artificial language and their meaning in English to correctly respond to the question given. So students are required to use the words from the artificial language and their meaning in English to correctly respond to the question given. All right, Keanu, please read this question.
Miss,
Go ahead, Keanu.
which word will mean
From where
faith?
the words in bold The words in bold.
The words in bold are from an artificial language. Beside each word, it is meaning in English. Which word could mean fill, bottle? Miss A.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. Kiana, have you read it twice?
The words in bold are from an artificial language. Beside each word is its meaning in English. Which word could mean fill bottle? Miss A.
Why do you say A?
Miss, I choose A because it has, since it's a fill bottle, fill, fill is in the first and third artificial language,
All right, so that's
and
it.
I
So this word
saw
would be feel, right?
if and then I made a conclusion or inference that bottle must be small. If answer.
Okay. All right, well put. So we looked for the clue. The word is fill bottle. So we look where we see fill. And here we have fill cup with which has hyphen at the beginning. And here fill is at the end of landfill and hyphen is at the end. So Kiana said she made an assumption, a logical assumption then that hyphen means fill. And so she would expect hyphen to be at the first part of fill bottle. And A is the only one that has hyphen as the first part. Very well done, Kiana. Item number 9, single select response. Students are required to use context clues to find a synonym for the underlined words from the passage. Students are required to use context clues to find a synonym for the underlined words in the passage. So context clues would be what we gather from reading the passage, the information that we get based on the scenario created in the passage. And a synonym is a word that means the same. Yes, John?
Miss Claire, please don't use the bathroom.
Yes, John, go ahead. Words that means
Thank
the
you.
same or almost the same. So, Amari, please read the passage twice.
Okay, Miss. Read the passage carefully, then answer items 9 and 10. Now the first green monkey was brought from Africa to Barbados more than 300 years ago. Now the monkeys are in danger because of men. The monkeys often attack fruit trees and birds, so the farmers shoot them. Also, there is less and less woodland on the island because it is being cleared for building. This means it is more difficult for the green monkeys to find place to live, so they move to farmlands. The mongoose does more damage than the monkey. It was brought to the island 100 years ago to kill rats, which were damaging the sugar cane. Now that the rats are under control, the mongooses have to kill other mammals,
Have
reptiles,
started.
and birds.
Have started.
Oh, have started to kill other mammals, reptiles, and birds. The first green monkey was from Africa to Barbados more than 300 years ago. Now the monkeys are in danger because of humans. The monkeys often attack fruit trees
Birds.
and yes, miss, something was loading, and birds, so the farmers shoot them. Also, there is less and less woodland on the island because it is being cleared for building. This means it is more difficult for the green monkeys to find places to live, so they move onto farmlands. The mongoose does more damage than monkey. It was brought to the island 100 years ago to kill rats, which were damaged, the, which damage, which were
Damaging.
the sugar cane, damaging the sugar cane. Now that the rats are under control, the mongooses have started to kill other mammals, reptiles, and birds. Miss,
All
I'm
right, and
finished.
this was adapted from Language Tree Workbook 4, Macmillan Caribbean 2007. Amari, please read the options.
Oh, Miss, okay, miss.
Yes, John.
Okay, miss. Dash means the same as under control. All dead. B fewer. C have increased. D saved. A all dead. B fewer.
Amari,
C
please read everything on the slide.
oh, oh, dash means the same as under control. A all dead. B fewer. C have increased. D saved. Miss, I would say Miss fewer, miss.
You'd say B, fewer.
Yes, miss.
Okay. I would agree because control would not mean that they're all dead. It just mean, and certainly not that they have increased, right?
Yes, miss.
It would mean that there are less of them now. And by
Yes,
the way, I need to go back and read some of the answers for question. I think that was what for the artificial language question. That was question 8, which was Hipponslog. That was the answer, right? So Madison had chosen that Nia, Alisa, and Nia had given an explanation that based on the meanings, Hiffon is fill, and we don't get a definition for bottle. So the only reliable answer would be A because it is the only option that has Hiffon at the beginning. All right, so that's correct. Now, in terms of this question 9, all right, so Rihanna agrees it's fewer, Rodriguez, Kiana, Amari gave his answer. Yes, Coleman, go ahead. Also, Nia, Mayceline, and Alyssa say fewer. So to say that the mongoose are under control, was it the mongoose? Let me double check. Which one was under control? The monkeys or the mongoose? Let me check. The rats. The rats are under control. All right, so the last question will be John's, and it's question 10. It's a single select response, and students are required to identify the main idea of the passage. All right, so students are required to identify the main idea of the passage. That's the same passage that we just looked at. So, John, I'm going to ask you to read that passage again. Sorry, twice. And then I let you see the options for your answer.
Okay, miss. Yeah. Read the passage. Read the passage carefully, then answer items 9 and 10. The first green monkey was brought from Africa to Barbados more than 300 years ago. But the monkeys are endangered because of men. The monkeys often attack fruit trees and birds, so the farmers shoot them. Also, there is less and less woodland because it is being cleared for building. It is more difficult for the green monkeys to find places to live, so they move onto farmland. The mongoose does more damage than monkey. It was brought to the island 100 years ago to kill rats, which were damaging the sugar canes. Now that the rats are under control, the mongooses have started to kill other mammals, reptiles, and birds. Read the passages, read the passage carefully, then answer items 9 and 10. The first green monkey was brought from Africa to Barbados more than 300 years ago. Other monkeys are endangered because of men. The monkeys often attack fruit trees and birds, so the farmers shoot them. Also, there is less and less woodland on the island because it is being cleared for building. This means it is more difficult for the green monkeys to find places to live, so they move on to farmlands. The mongoose does more damage than the monkey. It was brought to the island 100 years ago to kill rats, which were damaging the sugarcane. Now that rats are under control, the mongoose have started to kill other mammals, reptiles, and birds.
All right, so that's your question, John. Please read it twice.
Okay, so what is the writer most concerned about? What is the writer most concerned about? A. The rats are in danger. B. The monkeys are in danger. C. The farmers are in danger. D. The mongooses are in danger. A. The rats are in danger. B. The monkeys are in danger. C. The farmers are in danger. D. The mongooses are in danger. This I would say B. The monkeys are in danger.
Do you remember the passage specifically stating that? Let's go back. Where does
Yes,
it say the monkeys are in danger?
it says now the monkeys are in danger because of men.
Okay, so now the monkeys are in danger because of men.
Yes.
All right, so it says that explicitly the monkeys are in danger. And we always have to remember it's context clues. So we do have to go back to the passage, to the source. And remember, we said context means the whole scenario that's created in the passage. This particular question does not expect you to rely too much on your knowledge that you're coming with. Some questions do ask you to make inferences based on the knowledge you have gathered from your time, your tenure on the planet. The context clues questions specifically want you to focus on the information given in that passage right there and then, the scenario that's created right there and then. So you're going to look for detail from the passage. So make sure, read it, read the passage at least twice. At least. They are short passages, so I think you should be able to read it 3 times. And when you're reading the passages, go through with your pencil and underline important information. Underline important information so that when you're looking back, they will be highlighted. They're just staring and screaming at you. And then you read the question carefully as well as read the options, knowing that most times we have options that are pretty close. At least 2 of them will be pretty close. All right, so Madison is saying the first sentence usually is the most concerning. What do you mean by that, Madison? The first sentence is the most concerning. And by the way, so Madison says B, the monkeys are in danger. So does Nia. And so that was what B. Rodriguez says that too. What do you mean by that, Madison? Is it concerning to you, or are you saying that in this type of question, the first option is most concerning? And what do you mean by is most concerning? Why is it the most concerning? Explain what you mean, madam. And we have come to the end of our ability test. It's just 10 sample questions in this particular booklet that the ministry issued. And if you have been staying with us all this time, you would know that we have gone through quite a lot of material, much of which was issued by the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information. And we are very grateful that the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information here in Jamaica have seen it fit to take the time to prepare these workshops and these workbooklets so that we can know the different types of items that are likely to come in the PEP ability test, as well as other aspects of the PEP exam. But we're focusing on the ability test right now. We have combed through all the booklets from 2021, that's last year, the 4 booklets, we went through them with a fine-tooth comb. And we also went through all the 4 booklets that were revised for 2022, that's this year. We went through those as well. So if you missed those, just go on over to the channel, Kemet Masai Academy, and you shall see them waiting there for you. All right, so let me see if Madison. Oh, most concerning to the author. You're saying the first one, the rats are in danger. That's most concerning to the author. Tell me where in the passage says that. And Nia is saying because the monkeys destroy the farmers' fruit trees, so the farmers would harm the monkeys. All right, so the farmers would harm the monkeys, but the farmers are encroaching on the monkeys' habitat. The monkeys were living in the forest, in their habitat first. And then humans have been slowly occupying, claiming more land space for our villages and cities. So we are encroaching on these animals, right? So they will come in and get some fruits from the farm because their natural habitat where they used to get their fruits abundantly, we have either destroyed or in some way limited access to the monkeys. So we can't blame them. They're just living their lives and trying to respond to their natural instincts. And we have to pay more attention to them and make more allowances for them. We can't destroy their habitats and then complain when they come over into our very extensive habitat that we choose to claim. All right, so Alyssa, you're saying what about what are you asking? What are you saying? I just see right what. All right, guys. So that's it for today. Tomorrow we're going to do more ability tests. We won't have any class on Wednesday because that's Ash Wednesday. And then we're going to continue on Thursday and Friday. All right, so thank you, scholars, for being with me. Classes start the usual time tomorrow from 7 to 8 Jamaica time, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Jamaica time. All right. So Be there or be square. Be there or be square. And remember, if you want to be on this, on the, if you want to be on the in the studio with us, you can follow the studio link. It's the same link all the time. Follow the studio link. Have a wonderful night too, Nia. Thank you. And come on over and join us, right? Come on over and join us. And let's chat as well as, so while we're figuring out these problems and these and answering these questions, we can chat too, right?
Bye, Miss.
Bye, take care.
Bye, Miss.
Bye, Miss.
Rambat is giving us all an elbow bump, so give him
Bye,
back an
Miss.
elbow bump.
Bye, Miss.
See you tomorrow, John. Bye, Amari.
Bye,
Okay,
Miss.
okay, Alyssa. Bye, Mads.
Bye,
All
Miss.
right, so here is the schedule of classes as usual. Hello CSEC math students, I know you are busy preparing for your math tests and your CSEC exams coming up. I have a very important question to ask you. Do you like my new hat? Thank you. Now another important question. Have you ever gotten a math problem wrong simply because of making one little mistake? I'm sure you have, as thousands of other students have. Now in this series, we're going to be looking at the common mistakes that students make with all the topics in CSEC Math. We're going to look at the common errors, demystify everything. Make sure you watch every video in this series so that you can avoid making those mistakes. So stay tuned. Hello scholars, did you know that most times when students get problems wrong in mathematics is as a result of one single error or one mistake? Well, this is absolutely true, and we're going to be looking at the common errors that students make in the different topics in mathematics. If we know the errors beforehand, we can certainly avoid making them. Are you ready? Come on, take my hand.